What is up, guys? Back in today with another reaction on the channel, and today I'll be reacting to the first episode of the Fragrant Flower Blooms Blossoms with Dignity. I've been looking forward to this. I've heard it's been very much hyped up by pretty much everyone that's read the source material, so it should be a good romance, which we've been kind of severely lacking on this year, to be honest with you. There really haven't been too many that have stood out to me for a while, actually, since like Skip and Loafer and such from last year. But I'd honestly say like Fragrant was probably better than the majority that came out since then as well. And that's not even like a romance show really. But initially, not got the greatest kind of start with this, just because of Netflix's release issues that they have. Honestly, it feels like they never actually release a show in a good manner. Happened with JoJo's Part 6, which was just horribly released. Happened the season before last season with Sakamoto Days, which had a week delay between Japanese release and international release, I believe. This one's actually even worse, with it having a week delay from Japanese release to other Asian countries, and then a 3-month delay between the Japanese initial release and the release to everywhere else in the world. Probably comes from some kind of crappy metric about how Western people prefer to binge their anime all in one or something like that, but it really does just like kill the weekly kind of build up of shows, especially for what I do on YouTube, which I imagine isn't all that important to these companies and such. But again, it really does just like kill any kind of discussion shows having a large portion of the audience watch it at this certain time and then a bunch kind of watch it later on. It's just, I don't know, it's just crazy marketing to me, to be honest with you. But that is Netflix. Honestly, the subtitles might be a bit dodgy as well, so we'll have to look out for that, just because I believe these are probably fan subs I've had to scour for a few hours to find this, by the way, so had to go to some shady places. I'm hoping the subtitles are okay, but hopefully this won't take away from my enjoyment. As I said, this has been very hyped up, and I do love my romance anime, so yeah. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you guys do like, and subscribe to the channel if you do want to keep up to date. Ran over. It really is just crazy though. Has there been a Netflix release in the past like 2 years or so that has been like good in terms of the actual what they've got to do, which is the easiest part of actually releasing the show? Okay. I can't remember what studio's done this, but as I said, I've heard plenty of good things about the source material and the adaptation, I believe, but see for myself, of course. Oh, these are the people that done one of my favourite Jujutsu Kaisen openings. Maybe the Jujutsu Kaisen I listen to the most, to be honest with you. I think it's called Blue something. Yeah, the animation looks beautiful, doesn't it? Absolute rip off there, by the way. I always remember going to the fair as a kid. I used to go quite often because my a lot of my family done a lot of work with like stuff like that. You know, travel around the country, putting up these fairground rides and such. Not my like immediate family, but I'd always be able to get like free rides, which was awesome. And yeah, you buy like an apple with toffee and it looked delicious, and it was delicious, and then you get to the apple and it's just an apple. Feels like you get scammed. It's where a lot of my love for horror came from, because a lot of the rides would have artworks of like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and such all over them, and I remember always walking past being very scared as a kid, so it would always interest me. So that brought back some memories right there. Oh. Okay, so the subtitles actually seem pretty good for the start, to be honest, from what I can vaguely understand of Japanese. I did wait a week for the Sakamoto Days episodes, but I'm definitely not fucking waiting 3 months for the show. That's just not happening. It's just, yeah, that's just unreasonable. It felt kind of unfair, the fact that some people couldn't watch. Like, I'd be flaunting about watching the show early, but in this case, it's just like, fuck you, Netflix. Like, I ain't doing that again. I done that because I felt bad for the people. I'm doing this because I don't feel bad for your fucking company. Which is a shame. Does he? I guess he's kind of tall. He's got some piercings, I guess. Not the norm in Japan. What that was that? That's not how you want girls looking at you. Oh, it's that signature trend that was happening where they're like, oh, you drop something and they sign it. Oh, because he touched it. Jesus, what's wrong with these women? Or is it this guy's just bad news? Yeah, you don't want anyone looking at you like that. Is that an okay? So these are two schools next to each other. One's a public school and one's a women's private school. That's interesting. It's an interesting location for a women's private school to be. Interesting. And like girl next might be kind of like the girl next door kind of thing going on here. That used to be my favorite movie, by the way, as a kid. Probably shouldn't have been watching that as a kid, but I there was just something about that movie that I absolutely loved. I think Alicia Cuthbert's in it, and she looked fantastic in that movie. That's probably one of the big reasons I liked it so much. So is this an all boys school then? Like, is this an all boys public school or crappy private school? I guess I don't know. So we got an all boys school, lower class, and an all girls school, higher class next to each other. I'm not sure I've ever seen this concept done in anime, to be honest. A part-time job as a cook as well. Literally called Plain. Who the hell would go to a shop called Plain? That is not how you do marketing. Or maybe it's like the reverse psychology. The girl in the opening. So red for. That's why she's red. Fucking hell. We got a little food fiend on our hands. Honestly, if these guys do become an item, pretty smart choice from her. She seems into her food, so why not get a boyfriend that works at a food place? Seems like a pretty good deal. That happens quite often to you, judging by the start of this show. Waguli. It's an interesting name. Never heard that name. See, the first thing that comes to mind, Wagyu steak. Middle school. Yeah, that's a bit weird. I think I'm very much that same way. I think when people interact with me, especially if they don't know me, I think they'd probably think that same thing. She needs to. Okay, so he doesn't actually like work here. I guess he lives here. I gotta say, it's a nice bit of a change of pace, his design, to like the normal kind of black hair, very normal looking kind of character, which usually like some kind of like self insert in a show like this. It's a nice change of pace. Sorry. Yeah, like I said, it's usually like some kind of like self insert, very average looking. Yeah, she did say, "I'll treat you." What was that about? Um, yeah, I feel like there's some really good shows that are similar to that. I guess like Itchy Cow is like a decent example of. A lot of people find him quite cringe, but I think he is quite a self insert for a lot of people that really like Dangers in My Heart. I really like that show. I wouldn't say I'm like him, but I definitely relate in some certain instances. But it's good to have something like this, whereas someone I can relate to him, to be honest. Um, in terms of I feel like I've maybe looked a bit scary in my life. I used to have a mustache when I was like 13, 14. I used to be the guy that would buy alcohol for all my friends when we had parties at like 14, 15 years of age, just because I looked that much older. So I imagine I had a kind of similar type of vibe, I guess. Not quite as good looking though. Scary, it's more scary in a scary way rather than scary in an intimidatingly attractive way as compared to this guy. He is fucking giant, isn't he? Wow, I have been known to. So. Auluku. Really? Before yesterday? Jesus. You're just putting yourself in it more right here. Make yourself blush more. Hmm. Yeah, again, I can relate to that. I think every guy can, to be honest. Even if it's not actually the case, you just kind of sometimes feel self-conscious like that. Especially in the age we're growing up in, I think it's a lot easier to feel like that as well. Oh shit. Oh shit, we've got a couple of creeps. Got a couple of creeps up in here. I was just about to say, seems like a nice girl. She seems very she seems quite cliche, doesn't she? Like the very nice, slightly anxious young girl. But she has this just vibe of niceness about her. A little bit like Honda from not quite as powerful, but a little bit like Honda from Fruits Basket. She's got that like lovely energy, that lovely aura. You found it on the floor. Couple creepers. It almost looks a bit like a maiden. Like she could be in like a Japanese kind of a ritual, which I know sounds strange, but yeah. Judging from the cover of their books, yes, I think they would be considered opposites, but I don't think that's actually the case, is it? Oh, so bad. He's got a posse. He's got friends. Come on. Let's spark some fucking intelligence into these guys. Brave of her to say all this in this situation, isn't it? Oh, I was more hoping to see them get pummeled rather than protection. I was hoping they'd fly with that flying kick. Oh shit! What the hell? Where's he bleeding from? Oh shit! He hit his head. No, I wanted to see some paint. I wanted to see some vengeance right there. That's a shame. Sorry, my eyes watering so bad. Yeah. No, he sure waited till the final moment, didn't he? Bloody hell. I guess it's really interested to hear what she had to say, though, wasn't he? Where did all these rumours come from? Maybe again, maybe it's a bit like me, where I was very much a delinquent. I'm still am quite antisocial in a way, but in a different way. Than how I was when I was like a teenager. I would like cause a ruckus, and yeah, maybe he's gone through that kind of evolution as well. Or maybe it's just purely this perception he has. I feel like it's easy to also kind of like give in to that perception. Like people label you as something, it's very easy to give in to actually be that thing they label you as, and they say about you. It's very easy. It would be very easy for him to kind of live up to like the scariness and like maybe be like a part of a gang or something and prove these rumors true. I think that's very easy to do. Get into your head. That's good that he didn't seemingly, well, not seemingly, yeah, he's not like that at all. I've got to say, I'm quite interested, to be honest with you. I'm about to say something that might kind of um go against the next thing I'm about to say, but it does feel quite cliched at the moment, doesn't it? It does feel like I've kind of seen this before. It's not anything kind of new or interesting. I thought this would be so highly rated and so highly regarded because it would have like a new spin or a new kind of yeah, be something new in this kind of genre. But to say that as like, I mean, it's a slight negative, but it's almost like, again, what I'm about to say is going to counter that. It's almost a positive in a way, because something this seemingly cliched at the minute is so highly regarded. It must do what it is it's setting out to do, which is to be a pretty awesome standard romance. It must do that to such an awesome degree, and like to such a high degree that it's considered that highly, if that makes sense. Like for something not so unique to be that highly regarded means that it's got to be like one of the best in that kind of. It's like when you kind of think of your standard like shonen, when your standard action shonen, you usually think the best ones are the ones that are very unique and different, or the ones that are just done very well in every aspect. And this kind of feels like one of the ones. If this is if it is going to be as good as everyone says, it's going to be that it, rather than it being that unique category, it's going to be in that category of it does everything that it sets out to do to a very high degree. And it has been a great first episode, but again, it hasn't been anything new. So I think quite interesting just to think about the reception. Because again, so far I've enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, but it certainly hasn't been anything kind of mind blowing or anything like yeah, that blew other romance anime out of the water, for example. And I don't think you're, especially I think for a first episode, a lot of romance anime are just, especially the first episode is just like setting up things and being quite cliched. So maybe I shouldn't expect that in this first episode, but Yeah, I mean, maybe because it sounds so weird, but because I did enjoy this as much as I expected to be the top, that almost makes me look forward to the rest more. That makes sense. Scratched up clock. So I'm also assuming she goes to the school next door. Almost like that horror kind of cliche when you look out the window, the serial killer's outside, and then he disappears when you look next time. Going to be something similar to that. Was that her looking at him? Oh no. I thought she was kind of hiding because she was, but she's only just now opening the. Okay. And he's the one died. Of course, considering he's in the crappy school. I imagine he might feel a bit subconsciously pressed about being found out about being in this school. Okay, like I said, good first episode. Again, not nearly as I think I've seen the rating for this episode already is like sky high, and it just doesn't deserve that at the minute. I think it's one of those things where people hate on a show and don't even watch it because they don't like the premise, and just to hate on it to amp up other things. Just as people do that, people also rate it like 10 out of 10 just because they want it to be very highly rated. It's a very similar thing actually. So I think that's the case here because the people are such fans of the source material. They're going to rate it 10 out of 10 because they love the source material, even though the show isn't a 10 out of 10 from this first episode. As I said, it was quite standard. It was quite cliched in a lot of ways with her character especially. I do think the main lead here, the male lead, is got quite an interesting thing going on. As I said, I can relate to a few of his points with what I experienced, but yeah, it wasn't anything like majorly unique, but it was done really well. It was animated nicely. The soundtrack was nice. The character designs are really nice. They hit all the notes for what your usual kind of romance first episode is, but yeah, certainly would be a 10 out of 10 for me. I mean, I'd say it's a good like 7 out of 10. Nice, good start for sure. So again, that almost kind of makes me even more hype because the rest of this must be like, yeah, just done so well. In like the progression, I think that's the biggest thing with romance anime is a lot of the time, a lot of my anime that I've always grown like disappointed with in the romance genre is because of the relationship between the characters either goes way too slowly and it takes way too long to actually have their romance kind of progress and to reach kind of certain milestones within the relationship. Sometimes it just takes ages, and sometimes they don't even like ever really get there. So it just feels like, oh, what's even the point of watching it if this is going nowhere? Again, I think Dangers in My Heart done really well in terms of like the pacing. So I imagine this doesn't have that problem. Again, I can't really speak because I haven't read the source material, but that is probably the one biggest reason a romance anime kind of fails, in my opinion. So yeah, judging by the first episode, we can't really judge that whatsoever. But as I said, pretty standard first episode. Looked nice, production's really nice. Quite a standard thing. There's not really too much I can talk about, to be honest, because like I said, it's not really too much kind of new here going on. They've got an interesting relationship in terms of the schools. I think it feels like quite a simple mechanism of to have them kind of interact, but I've never seen it before, not in kind of TV, anime, or kind of movies, which I find quite funny actually. You'd think that I'd have seen something like this before, but I haven't. So I think that's quite an interesting element. Her be it, I've seen the whole thing of like she or he's in like a private kind of flashy school and he's in like a trash heap. I've seen stuff like that, but having them like right next to each other like this, it's going to be quite interesting. Having her kind of know where he works and his kind of life being kind of centered around one of her loves, being the food and the sweets and such, I think is quite an interesting kind of part of this as well. So some initial interesting kind of setup bits here, but as I said, it didn't like blow me away or anything. It just was a good episode, but I do expect that it will get better and better as it does go along. So hopefully that is the case. Let me know what you guys thought about this first episode down in the comment section. If you guys did want to know where to like watch this or anything, I ended up finding out where to watch it on the discussion for this first episode on my anime list. So I can't like I don't think it's a good idea for me to comment where I watched it and such in the comments. So if you guys did want to find out, just go and check there. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this first episode down in the comment section. Make sure to leave a like on the video if you guys did enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you want to keep up to date with these weekly reactions. To be honest with you, I've been kind of on and off looking for this for about 6 hours today, so I can't assure you next week I'll be watching this about the same time, but hopefully I'll be able to watch this next Saturday around the same time. So yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you, and have a good rest of your day.